I had so many great questions today, and so I'm going to utilize a couple of them. I assume that Adam knows the things that I'm going to speak of, but you should never assume anything of anybody, and there is so much knowledge that is not as common as we think it is. So I'm going to expound on this for a second. Google is a great resource. When people say don't use Google, when I say don't use Google, what I mean is don't go to Google and find something in some obscure site like The Onion and then use it as a fact. If you don't know, The Onion is a satire site, and people have tried to use it as fact. Now, to be clear, I don't think academia is the be-all and end-all. In fact, I think that it has a lot of problems, and I think it needs to learn it's not the be-all and end-all. I also believe that every human has a capacity to be a scientist. Every human has a capacity to have a hypothesis, find information that supports or rejects that hypothesis, have a theory, test the theory, so forth. Evidence to support a hypothesis, though, has to be evidenced. It has to have basis and solidity. To me, this includes oral traditions and indigenous traditions. When you're going to Google, though, you're not going to get that. So when you're on Google, what you need to be looking for, is it an article in an accepted journal? Usually there are more than one writers of an article because people collaborate. Does it reference other articles, other papers, other works? Is it written within the last 20 or so years? Most fields of science are pretty specific, so as an archaeologist, I might collaborate with a geologist to prove my hypothesis on the southern route. This is why you usually have multiple people working on an article. Science also depends on evidence, so if I say can't get a geologist to come in, I might read a geologist's paper, and those things are going to be referenced in the article that I wrote. So-and-so said this on this. When we look at dating, we want to make sure that it's within the last 20 years because so many things have changed within the last 20 years. Flip phone to now. And 20 years ago, we thought Neanderthals couldn't talk, and now we have proven that Neanderthals had language. So absolutely use Google. I absolutely do. When you use Google, curate your evidence. Make sure that you're getting it from people who really understand, who actually look out to other people instead of people who are using confirmation bias, because you don't want to use confirmation bias. Google Scholar is absolutely an amazing source. The problem with Google Scholar is often you have to pay fees to access articles. Thank you so much for this question and this opportunity to inform.